Number 10. FNAF 6 cancelled. This one may have been less of a troll and more of like an actual post. I'm not even sure. That's how good this troll is. But Scott, it's hard to tell. The actual update to this Steam community post had him claiming that he'd actually never troll us. So once again, I'm pretty skeptical because yeah, saying that, you know, I would never troll you guys, would I? When you already have? Sounds like a troll to me. Troll alarm going off. We know that that ain't true. He's definitely trolled us in the past. In a post he made in June of 2017, Scott claimed he wanted to stop working on FNAF 6 and didn't want his next FNAF game to be something big and grandiose, just something light and fun. He even joked about making a pizzeria tycoon game instead, and yet we know what happened. We all know. Which makes us think this post was actually intended to troll, as FNAF 6 did of course later came out. It was light and fun and was a pizzeria tycoon game, sure, but it was also only released a short while later and had major lore implications and narrative points divulged within it. So I gotta say, in retrospect, this seems like once again another troll, but cleverly disguised as a real post. Number 9. FNAF World Halloween Edition. This one came later, and yet there were still some folks who kind of fell for it. Mostly though, I think many of us just enjoy these pranks and buy into them because we want to see what Scott has cooked up this time around. He's just so good at trolling. With FNAF World Halloween Edition, it was released on October 28th of 2015, with a hacker by the username of lols_hacks, claiming they had gotten the files for FNAF World and were going to release them for free. When the files were released, as promised, it turned out to be FNAF World Halloween Edition, which was actually just a reskin of Scott Cawthon's old game, Fighter Mage Bard, and where these 3 classes that were in that game were reskinned as Freddy, Bonnie, and of course Chica. Turned out that lols_hacks was of course none other than Scott himself, once more trolling us. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you love what we do here at Top 10 Gaming, you need to go check out our newest channel, Most Amazing Top 10 Anime. Go on over, hit that subscribe, and tell them I sent you. Number 8. Foxy Fighters. Foxy Fighters was a game that was designed as a mini game and added to FNAF World after the 1.2 update. It was a fun little game where you controlled Foxy in a little plane that is armed with, well, like a little weapon. I wouldn't call it a fighter jet, but technically it's designed similar to one, although its look is radically different from most fighter jets in the real world. Foxy is controlled using the WASD keys on the computer, and to fire you just hit shift. It's a simply designed little game, and at one point Scott claimed he actually wanted to potentially work on a game that was all Foxy Fighter, sharing that he had so much fun making it just as a little game for fans to add into the FNAF world. Well, I do believe he did have fun making it. I think when he shared his potential interest in turning it into a full-fledged spin-off game all its own, it was definitely a form of a troll, because I don't see that ever happening. Number 7. FNAF 3. This troll happened while FNAF 3 was still in development. Scott took to Steam Greenlight to share that the third game had actually been cancelled because someone had leaked it all on GameJolt, and in frustration, he would be tossing in the towel on it. Scott claimed this had happened as a result of him being hacked. However, when you went to the page on GameJolt and you downloaded that game, it wasn't actually FNAF 3, but instead it was a game with a FNAF 3 inspired loading menu that was actually a reskin of one of Scott's older games. There is no pause button. Many fans freaked though before discovering this, and of course that Scott himself was actually behind the troll, because of course he was. Number 6. Ultimate Custom Night Demo. One of the latest in the line of game trolls we've gotten from Scott is Ultimate Custom Night Demo. This was released to the general public, but it turned out to just be a prank. While the actual demo did exist, it was only given to professional gaming YouTubers to do playthroughs and review the game prior to its release. The publicly released demo was actually a reskin of Scott Cawthon's very first computer game from 1989, Doofus the Dinosaur. Once again, faces and characters were replaced, or rather reskinned, to look like familiar FNAF characters and animatronics in each level of the game. Number 5. HTML Feud. There have been a few times that Scott has shared that game making is simply too much stress for him, and although I imagine that actually must be true sometimes, especially with all of us expecting so much from him, I don't think any of us believed that he didn't enjoy working on FNAF, right? At least we hoped it wasn't true. But when he started to hide arguments in the HTML code of his sites, where it seemed to make it seem like they were arguing with each other, fans thought for sure that his claims of being overworked and overstressed from constantly aiming to outdo himself were all part of some greater ploy. We didn't buy it. And that, of course, the HTML feud was none other than him creating some fun and fake drama in relation to the story of the next game, which at this time, of course, was FNAF 6. And it turned out, while this was planned to seem as though there was a fight going on, it was, of course, only in relation to that narrative in the games, with the fight likely resembling the one within Ennard between all the shared consciousness of animatronics. Number 4. Help Wanted. Scott is not above poking fun at himself or the franchise and enjoys trolling us even within the game and the world of FNAF. Case in point, his actual appearance in Help Wanted. Not in the flesh, but in picture form, implying that the games we play are created within the very world of FNAF itself and tarnish the reputation of Fazbear Entertainment, even as we play mini-games in the VR game inspired by the previous games themselves, which are apparently in the world, but also, I guess, actually happen. It is a meta paradox that we are in. It's a meta paradox, or at least that's what it feels like. Scott's picture is thrown up, and he is referred to as a nameless indie game developer who made said games, which, of course, is true, but also in the world of FNAF, it breaks my brain. Number 3. Fun little game. When Scott commits to a troll, he definitely doubles down. This happened with FNAF 6 Pizzeria Simulator when Scott revealed that the screenshots he'd revealed for the game prior to its release were accurate to the tone, and that it was just supposed to be a light, fun game for fans to enjoy. It wasn't supposed to be a major release, he said. And having received negative feedback on the poor quality based on the screenshots, he just wanted to clarify. He wanted to clarify. But he wasn't really clarifying, really, was he? He was trolling us again. He wanted to troll us. He saw people coming for him and he's like, I see an opportunity to troll people by doubling down. As we learn when FNAF 6 was released, and it wasn't just a fun, light little game for the community, it was undoubtedly a major release. It was fun and light, but also very dark. Number 2, Sister Location MA. Sister Location mature. As time went on, so too did the trolls, and I think they also got better too as time went on. Just my personal opinion. One of my favorite troll moments actually comes in association with one of my all-time favorite FNAF games, Sister Location. Now, with Sister Location, just as the game was nearing its release date, Scott put out a statement claiming that the game, it actually might be too dark for release at this point, and he said he was thinking about spending another 6 months of development on it to make it more family friendly. The mature or MA version was shared, but it turned out it was once again just Scott trolling us. The real Sister Location was a bit darker, but still safe enough for all audiences and was released the next day as planned. So it's all good. Wasn't mature enough for that rating. Number 1, Pizzeria Simulator. When you think about it, FNAF 6 itself was kind of like a troll all on its own. A really great troll though. An admirable troll that was also actually FNAF 6. Why do I consider FNAF 6 a troll? Because it appeared as a harmless pizzeria simulator even when you started playing it, but in reality, as time goes on, you learn it is a dark, depressing story covered in fake glitz, fun, and glam. Well, some real fun, glitz, and glam, I think, but also it's really dark. It wasn't a game that you could skip either, like was implied before. The story tied into this game was actually relevant to the whole franchise and the main narrative. So although it seemed light, it was still just as convoluted, necessary, and complex as other games that we'd had in the past. That also is kind of what makes FNAF 6 so great. It is the troll vibes of Scott Cawthon that we've enjoyed in the past made manifest in game form. Maybe the best kind of troll out there. I feel like game trolls are great, especially when you play games and you're like, I think I know what this is, and then they're like, whoa, no, you don't. I surprised you. You thought this was a fun dating sim? It's a horror game.
Number 10, Springtime. This meme is both scary and funny. It features Springtrap peeking around the corner at you and reads, "Spring is just around the corner." Kind of some dark humor with this one being a play on words referring to a phrase typically used revolving the changing of seasons from winter to spring, usually a positive thing, while mashing it up with the coming of a spring-type animatronic on its way to kill you. But honestly, just the reference to Springtrap here made me laugh. Definitely one fans of the franchise will enjoy and understand. Number 9. FNAF Playthrough. This meme features popular YouTuber and gamer Markiplier, who has played through every FNAF game on his channel before. He has a playlist with over 80 videos that are all about his own journey playing through and experiencing the games. Having over 25 million fans and subs on his channel, it's understandable that fans have enjoyed watching him play the games so much that they would likely be entertained watching him doing it all over again a second time, returning to Freddy's. But of course, Mark has likely played and suffered enough through all those terrifying jump scares, and this meme references those very moments he has been caught in playthroughs being freaked the heck out, and alludes to the fact that Mark likely won't be revisiting the games anytime soon when it comes to making even more playthrough videos featuring FNAF titles he has already played. So much nope. Number 8. Most hated. One meme that I found to be very true is this one featuring Balloon Boy. It shows a picture of Balloon Boy and reads, "The only animatronic who can't kill you, still the most hated," referring to the fact that Balloon Boy never directly attacks the player, but instead will mess with the effectiveness of their equipment in the game, messing up the player's attempts to defend themselves against oncoming threats, which usually results in their death. Balloon Boy also frustratingly mocks you all the while with his laughter. It's like he enjoys frustrating you. Number 7. No, Foxy. This meme features Gru from the Despicable Me franchise, but is a nod to that sigh of relief you experience in FNAF when you have successfully managed to close the door in time before Foxy can run into the office. It's funny because it accurately sums up that feeling you have whenever you stop an animatronic. That you can't come in moment of triumph. That I got you moment. I stopped you. This feeling is heightened too when it comes to stopping Foxy, as he doesn't just slowly creep up on you, but has a tendency to sprint towards you once out of Pirate Cove. The meme syncs up the perfect taunting reaction of Gru to that moment when you close the door on Foxy. Number 6. Least popular animatronic. A couple of the most well-loved animatronics in the game are Foxy and Bonnie. Heck, even Chica gets a lot of love from the fans. But you know who most people don't list as being their favorite? Freddy, the animatronic who is named in almost every title and is known as being the star of Freddy Fazbear's. I mean, his name is right in the restaurant title, and yet fans of the franchise prefer almost every other animatronic above him. Even fellow bears like Golden Freddy and Fredbear get more love than Freddy Fazbear himself. Hence why this meme is so funny, because it is just so true. This meme features a Freddy looking a little suspicious, but also a little sad. It accurately describes Freddy with its words. In the title of every FNAF game, still nobody's favorite. Number 5. Yoga. Or if it's Twister, maybe you are doing it right. This meme features Mangle from the game, who finds themselves in a generally odd position on the ground, all tangled up with limbs all which ways, as Mangle do. With this picture being shown in the meme, it implies that this is simply Mangle doing yoga really badly. The words read, "Yoga, you're doing it wrong." And although your is spelled incorrectly, it should be YOU''RE, as in you are your. I was willing to let that slide because it made me laugh so hard. As I said, the other caption for this meme could explain that Mangle is actually instead killing it at the game Twister. That would be a funny counter meme, I think, to this one. Number 4. Notice Me. This meme is a reference to the common archetype in anime, the girl who always wants the older boy, master, or her teacher to notice her, whom she usually also has a crush on. It features Chica looking through the window at you with the caption, "Notice me, senpai." If you are both a FNAF fan and anime fan, the use of Chica's wide stare in this way will likely leave you incapacitated, rolling on the floor with laughter. I wish I could say more to explain just why it's so funny, but honestly, it just is. If you were senpai, would you notice Chica? I don't see how you couldn't. Those eyes. Number 3. They said. This famous meme features the photo of the girl looking oddly mischievous as a house burns down in the background. What is really going on in this picture? Does anyone actually know? Is there an answer to this meme? This specific meme's caption poses the theory that this little girl was actually dealing with some FNAF haters. It reads, "They said FNAF sucks. Warning of what happens to haters of the franchise." Of course, I hope no one would actually go far enough to burn down someone's house because of an opinion. But still, the idea that this little girl was that hardcore in her love of FNAF is pretty comical. Especially because there are actually so many passionate fans of FNAF who are often so triggered when others talk even remotely badly about the games. Or even when fellow gamers accidentally call Chica Yellow Ducky. Triggered. Number 2, Pirate Cove. There are a few memes that revisit some of the in-game scenarios where things can go sideways if you are not being diligent enough while playing. Two of the main times this happens in the game that fans like to focus on in their memes seems to be forgetting to wind up the music box, thereby waking up the puppet, and not paying enough attention to Foxy. This meme focuses on the latter and features SpongeBob and Patrick discussing how they forgot to check on Pirate Cove, with the next panel of the meme showing Foxy popping up behind them. The thing that really makes this one funny is the fact that, of course, Patrick and SpongeBob also are just dressed up as pirates in it. It's like a little pirate party once Foxy also pops up. Maybe a pirate murder party. Or, you know, maybe Foxy would spare them because they're dressed like pirates too. Maybe that's a good way to protect yourself from Foxy, just dress like a pirate. Number 1, storyline. There are also a few memes that center around the fact that the storyline of FNAF is somewhat convoluted, and that the franchise has obviously blown up beyond what Scott Cawthon perhaps originally anticipated, becoming a whole world of its own, full of lore, secrets, and mysteries yet to be uncovered. This meme is also created with images from SpongeBob. In this meme, SpongeBob attempts to explain what the header describes as the FNAF storyline. It's not as simple as a 3-sided triangle or a 4-sided square, but is so complex it's just a series of dotted lines making up an undefinable blob of a shape. And I mean, I think that is hilariously accurate, as it feels like every game or book for FNAF adds another layer to the already twisty-turny, confusing story of FNAF's kind of behind-the-scenes style plot. I mean, that's also what we love about it, but I think it's fun to acknowledge just how crazy it's gotten.
Number 10, the kids' drawings in the security room. So you may have noticed some drawings that are put up in the original FNAF beside the Celebrate poster. They all pretty much say, "My fun B-Day," and all involve drawings of kids featuring the animatronic cast of Freddy's Pizza. The hilarious thing is that you know these animatronics are threatening your life every night, and yet these pictures still remain on the wall. Do they have to be there to appease the animatronics, or are you trying to cherish them despite being terrified of them? It's just pretty ridiculous and funny that they're always there staring at you no matter how terrified you get, and that your character never takes them down, despite all the anxiety and horror you suffer night after night. Number 9, shadow puppets. In one of the FNAF games, you can actually see the shadow of some of the animatronics coming through on the wall. You know they're coming for you, but there's almost nothing you can do, and you just have to watch their shadows awkwardly slink across the wall, kind of coming towards you. You know that you're boned, you're done for, but there is also something kind of funny about the way their shadows just creep across the wall. It just reminds me of like when you were really little and you played shadow puppets, but like, you know, shadow puppets that will kill you. I don't know. Maybe I'm really morbid, but I think it's funny. Number 8, death by hugs. So there are a few death moments in this game that look like they're simply happening as a result of hugs. I mean, I don't want to discredit how terrifying the animatronics in the game really are, but death by a hug is pretty comical. It's definitely a safe, funny, lighthearted thought to return to anyways while you appear to be getting murdered by someone as freaky looking as the puppet. Maybe these animatronics just never got enough hugs, and that's why they have the uncontrollable urge to kill you. I mean, you know, it's that or they want to stuff you in a suit. So take what you will, but I prefer to go with the happier idea. Number 7, the knowing eyes. So whenever you cut to a camera with animatronics in it, or whenever you catch any of them peering in your doorway, but especially with Springtrap, they just have this look in their eyes. It's kind of like, hey. I'm not talking about when Mangle is coming for you or when the puppet is coming for you. I'm really more talking about Springtrap. Because Springtrap has those half-hooded eyes, it's more like, hey, what's up, than I'm going to murder you. Number 6, the first intro speech. So the one where the former nighttime security guard greets you and explains how there's really nothing to worry about and everything will be fine, which is described and cut together over shots of the disturbingly dark and creepy looking locations in Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, like the backstage with all the empty animatronic heads. I also think it's just hilarious that he reassures you that you'll be fine and then proceeds to warn you of, you know, all the ways that you could die. But you know, don't panic at all just because others have died. At least the security guard before you made it. Or did he? He just sounds far too remarkably calm about the whole thing, and it makes me chuckle. Number 5. Foxy's sayings, but especially when playing in the AR Five Nights Freddy game Special Delivery, which invites the animatronics that you know and fear, and maybe love, from the game into your home via augmented reality. Foxy the Pirate has a series of piratey sayings that are just fun if he ends up to be an animatronic who gets sent your way. Some that you might hear: "I should warn ya, there'll be no quarter for ya." You can also hear him exclaim, "Yar!" Sure, hearing him run up behind you is scary, but the piratey sayings also just make his arrival as comical as it is frightening. Number 4. Creepy singing? Well, I know all the singing that you hear when you cut to the cameras is supposed to be scary. It's really hard for me to find it intimidating. The dum dum da dum just sounds like someone who can't quite remember the tune to something that they're trying to hum, and it's less intimidating and more giggle-inducing. Also, where is that sound supposed to be coming from? Is it coming from the animatronics, or is it just like a song randomly playing in the pizza place, and sometimes it plays, sometimes it doesn't? Or is your character just singing like as they're flipping through the cameras because they're starting to go kind of insane and maybe they actually like kind of enjoy their job? I mean, hey, at least it's never boring, so that's a plus of being the nighttime security guard at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Number 3. Chica. Okay, Chica's face for some reason always cracks me up, but especially when she is gazing across the camera in the dining hall with her "let's eat" bib and her like big dopey eyes. She's like, It's another silly look for me that makes me think how silly it is that an animatronic duck is coming to kill me. There's just especially something about the look on her face though in the dining room. That's gotta be one of my favorites when she's off to the side. Number 2. Tutorial for Special Delivery. So the whole tutorial for how to play Special Delivery is pretty jokes, just like the intro to the original game. The game sends their animatronic Freddy Fazbear your way to get you started and poses as a delivery service that brings animatronic entertainment to your home. Yay, what could go wrong? When Freddy arrives, he says, "I'll bet you weren't expecting me," which made me chuckle because obviously I was. The app just told me it was gonna send you to me. It also says that Freddy might be malfunctioning or that he's a bit shy. Isn't that cute? Once again, the premise for FNAF never ceases to make me giggle. Although, be warned, if you're dealing with Freddy in the AR game, it's not all fun and games. Though, you know, it is a game. Number 1. Exotic butters. So, what are exotic butters exactly? These are an item you can find in the FNAF game's sister location. It's a reward item that you get at the end of the game when you complete the good ending. I mean, exotic butter as an idea is just hilarious, but also what makes a butter exotic? You gotta ask yourself. Is it made from like a different animal's milk? Like it's not made from cow milk, it's like made from goat milk or I don't know, like spider milk or something weird? Is it from like a far off place, like just somewhere really far away, like Russian butter or something? Is it scented or flavored? I don't know, but if it's anything like the cinnamon sugar butter I had once, it actually sounds like a really great gift. If you haven't had cinnamon sugar butter, go find some and eat it. I bet it's an exotic butter.
And a 10, don't run. What do you do if a group of bad guys is coming after you at a good pace and you have no way to defend yourself? You get the hell out of there faster than my dad trying to get milk, faster than William's wife left him, faster than me going outside when someone asks if I want to get Taco Bell. The fact that we're in this tiny office is pretty ridiculous when you think about it. Like honestly, why would we stay in this room when we see on the security cameras that the animatronics aren't nearby? We can just like book it and be safe. Like why isn't there a one-way emergency exit out of our office if this is such a hazard? We stay in this room and that wouldn't happen in real life if you were in any sort of actual danger. In Game Lab, MatPat's old YouTube Red series, we saw him take on a real FNAF experience. However, when the animatronics were close, he didn't run away, he stayed in the office. Which could be used to say that since we consider that our safe space, we would do the same. But if our life was actually in danger, like mortal danger, we are gonna die danger, we would run like the wind, and not work there for 7 days before getting fired. Then at 9 animatronics. Now ignoring the whole possession thing, since that still isn't real, I've seen no evidence of it, especially due to intense agony, the whole servos locking up so we need to let them roam free at night thing is complete and utter BS. Firstly, in a world where we can have shape-shifting animatronics and discs that emit such high-frequency sounds that they alter what we see, I'm supposed to believe that a servo motor is going to lock up? Secondly, why do they need to free roam in the first place? They just stand on a stage. A servo motor creates linear or circular motion, which is not the kind of movement the animatronics need. I mean, it could be, but if these are so complex that they can move on their own, why would they lock in the first place? Not to mention the whole, yeah, someone got bit on the head, so we're gonna stop making them roam around freely. Like, why would you do that in the first place? Or the fact that kids literally tear Mangle to bits and then put her back together. Ironically, because, you know, put you back together. But still, it makes no sense. Before I continue on, can you do me a huge favor and hit that like button if you're enjoying the video or just the channel in general? And feel free to share this with a friend if you're so inclined. It really helps us out against the algorithm and lets us know what you want to see more of. And you know, helps me keep my job. Thank you. In a day, technology. Speaking of animatronics, what is up with the technology in this world? They're so advanced, but at the same time, they have the same tech that they would have in that era. The illusion discs are already crazy overpowered. Like, life is a perfectly balanced game with absolutely no exploits, but those things are absolutely nuts. And then there's the Funtime animatronics, where Baby literally stores a claw in her stomach and can capture children, and their AI is so advanced that Ballora can talk, and she isn't really possessed. Unless we go off the FNAF novels, and even if we did, it's from 5 different kids, so they would just be gargling. And the animatronic's ability to free roam is incredible. They were doing this before they got possessed as well, so their AI is incredibly advanced. Yet for some reason, they don't have smartphones or better computers. Like NASA would be interested in the AI of these animatronics, so why is there other pieces of technology that are the same as they would normally be in that era? It makes no sense to me. And it's 7 wall tiles. FNAF 3 is a trippy game to say the least. With multiple different endings and a load of puzzles along the way, the supposed to be final game of the series takes some weird turns. But I think the most egregious offense is the freaking goddamn wall tiles. Why do you have to dial in a phone number on some panels in the wall in order to set souls of dead kids free? Like, what? Where did that come from, and why is nobody questioning this anymore? Like, the other games came out and we just forgot about this. Was it because the series was meant to be a dream but isn't anymore? Like, is it because William had left some weird security pad behind these tiles? Is it not real at all and we're just tripping balls? Because honestly, with the amount of hallucinations and fear we have, not to mention any sleep deprivation that could also be happening, it's entirely plausible that this just isn't real at all, and that these wall tiles, special minigames, and shadow Bonnie action figures we do see are just a result of multiple different issues. That, or it's the reason William started killing, because like, WTF. And it's 6, limited power. The original difficulty of this game comes from the fact that you have limited power, at least in FNAF 1. This adds stakes since you can't just keep your doors closed the whole time, and you can't just keep the lights on outside. And it's explained to us, and just flat out told to us in the survival logbook, that the building has limited power after 12 AM. Why? That makes no sense. Absolutely none. Why would a building have restricted power after midnight? I've never heard of that before. And unless the franchise owner is extremely cheap and doesn't want more of an electricity bill, there would be no reason to set up a system that cuts you off. Plus, if that's the case, why risk a more costly lawsuit in that case if someone does get hurt or dies because of the limited power? Even if you won and didn't have to pay, you still have to pay the lawyer fees, because by no means would any judge make someone who got injured at work pay for the company's fees. At least I'd hope not. Especially when the game takes place. Halfway through into number 5, FNAF AR. I've said it before and I will say it a million more times. Why is the company sending out animatronics that they know are dangerous? The whole point of FNAF AR is that the company is sending these animatronics to try and rebuild their reputation. Same thing with Help Wanted. But then they see that they're infected with a virus turning them hostile, but instead of recalling them like any normal company, they send out more animatronics, including multiple versions of the killer that caused them to lose their reputation in the first place. They did not think that it was just an older Bonnie model and decided to call it Springtrap. If that was the case, it would be listed in AR as Old Bonnie or Spring Bonnie, not Springtrap. They know exactly what they're doing and nobody has called them out yet. Companies will get in trouble for making a freaking tiny mistake in their game, but this company can get away with just letting people die? That's sus as hell. Purple is sus. And for business deals, the people behind the Fazbear Entertainment Company, whether it be some board of directors or William Afton, aren't the brightest bunch. The ideas are there, but they're not executed well. Why the living hell would hiring someone to make games about the tragedies that took place in your restaurants ever seem like a good idea? That shouldn't have worked in the slightest. The main concept of using a game to make fun of the deaths of kids is already pretty messed up. And while it seems to have worked in the FNAF universe, why did they ever try it? Those events now will never be lost in time. Those games are there forever. And if they're as popular as the games are in our world, there are people who made whole YouTube channels about the series. At least when YouTube comes out. When does YouTube come out in this world? Like, I know one kid said MatPat's line in one of the Fazbear Frights books, and then the book said, as his favorite YouTuber says, but like, when did that story take place? After 2005, or was YouTube around earlier in this timeline? Because if it is, am I still the host on Top 10 Gaming? I kinda wanna be canon in FNAF 2. And at 3, business expansion. When a company undergoes a tragedy like 5 missing children, you can usually assume that they're either going under or will never be the same. This would go for any company, but especially a company directed at kids. Like, if Chuck E. Cheese actually had this happen, nobody would be taking their kids there. But for some reason, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza has not only been able to keep their doors open, but make them bigger, opening an entire shopping mall based on their characters. What the, like, how the actual hell did this happen? From having to shut down at the end of basically every FNAF game, to opening an entire mall-sized pizzaplex that has even more opportunities for your kids to get lost in? What the ever-loving crap happened to make that work? This has to be the most ridiculous form of logic in this series. I'm not even exaggerating. I don't care how many comments say that they would love a real FNAF. If it was actually real and there were actual deaths, you'd be scared crapless to go there. You wouldn't actually go unless you were an adult with no kids, or a YouTuber trying to put together the mystery of what really happened, and to see if their pizza is recycled. And ultimately, in a number 2, investigation. Speaking of trying to find out what really happened, why didn't the cops? We know that there was an investigation thanks to the Midnight Motorist minigame from FNAF 6, but they never found the bodies, even though the animatronics smelt like death and were oozing mucus and blood. So much that they had to actually shut down according to the FNAF 1 news clippings. So what gives? Why did they close their investigation so quickly? Or why didn't they look into the suits when it was reported that they were leaking blood? I don't care if it's the 80s and the police don't have the tech they do now. If a place you were investigating missing people but found no bodies had something that is leaking blood, you go check that out. You don't just leave it behind and say, that can't be related. Who the hell thinks like that? It's so disgusting to me, and honestly, even though it's a game that has to have a reason to continue, they should have done more. I get that if they had found the bodies, we wouldn't have gotten so many games, but sometimes it's quality over quantity. Guess they had to meet their arrest quota for the month or something, so they just dropped this case like it was cold. Finally, in at number 1, doors! You knew this was going to be on the list. I hate the goddamn mother-loving doors in this game. Why do they open when the power is out? That makes no sense. Even if it's an electromagnet, like everyone keeps saying in the comments whenever I bring this up, those require power to turn on. So if anything, it would be costing power to keep the doors open rather than closed. Gravity doesn't work in reverse. If the magnet is off, the door would just fall down. I get that it's supposed to be for gameplay purposes, but what in this universe makes this make sense? There is no conceivable way that these doors should be working in that way, but they do. They do, and it makes me mad. Why do you do this to me? Sky Daddy Scott, why? I really want merch that says Sky Daddy Scott though, for real. That would be hilarious. Just like Scott's avatar on like a cloud. Yes. And at 5, the fan shirt. The most terrifying thing in any of the FNAF games is the inevitable fan that is always blasting you with cold air while you sweat your nuts off hiding from animatronics. It was probably meant to provide ambient noise so you're not sitting there in complete silence while you hear the faint laughs and chuckles of animatronics in the distance. It's supposed to be gargles, but I said chuckles. Whatever. But the combination of it and that damn light bulb just end up making things much more intense. Like, what is that noise? Where is it coming from? Oh, it's just that godforsaken fan in the background. And now people are putting it on shirts and selling it to people for them to wear on their bodies. Why would you put this thing anywhere near your heart? The next thing you know, it's gonna be crawling into your chest cavity and laying eggs. Or we'll just start chipping away like a lawnmower. Yeah, that's what lawnmowers are. Just a giant metal fan that will cut anything it comes in contact with that isn't a rock. You know what rocks break? Bones. You know what bones won't break? A rock. A lawnmower will cut your hand clean off like some Final Destination shit, And this fan will do that to your chest so fast you'll be crying for Freddy Fazbear to come rescue your ass. And at 4, Twisted Ones pop figures. Don't get me wrong, I love pop figures, but I get pops about series that don't have things that want to kill me because they were killed in a children's pizzeria, then got stuffed into an animatronic suit, then possess them in order to enact revenge on the one who put them there, but when they think that they've done it, he dismantles them and melts them down into soul-infused metal that gives his son a new life with the life that he took away from those kids. Essentially, why would I want murderous animatronic animals to be sitting on my shelf waiting for me to fall asleep so that they can get the chance to finish what they couldn't in the game? The Golden Fredbear plush I'd understand because, you know, he's here, he's there, he's everywhere, but the scariest pop figures of them all are for sure from the novel The Twisted Ones. These animatronics are meant to capture kids using sound illusion discs that make them look amazing, when in reality, they're terrifying and horrific. They bury themselves during the day and at night they come out and hunt for prey. Nocturnal, horrific monster animatronics that want to eat kids? I don't freaking think so. How on earth am I supposed to be cool with me putting these on my shelf, even if I leave it in the box? Yeah, that's right, I take my pops out of the box because I don't care about the value if I'm not gonna sell them. Right now I only have like 3 still left in the box, and that's out of at least 55 pop figures right now. The Golden Doctor Strange, since the fans voted that he be made gold, so that's probably gonna be worth a lot, and the 2 paintable Bob Rosses from the last Fan Expo Canada. And so help me, if this one gets canceled, I'm gonna riot. They already canceled Comic-Con on me. Don't do it to Fan Expo. Don't do me that dirty. Or don't do me dirty with Fan Expo. Don't do me that dirty sounds weird. And at 3, Halloween masks. The Halloween masks are now officially canon. I mean, sure, the big kids were wearing them in the end of FNAF 4 when Michael Afton gets bitten and dies, but like, holy ever-loving hell are these things creepy in real life. They were bad in Hell Wanted, especially because if you didn't wear the right one, you died, but still, IRL, these things are GMMSMPIIGTDCBLATUF. Got it in one. And it means these things are gonna make me shit my pants if I get too damn close, because look at these ugly fricks. But no, seriously, look at them, because the mask's just hanging on the rack with like the fabric or rubber head, but with the plastic face is terrifying, and I don't understand why the whole thing can't just be rubber or plastic. Like, pick one. Like, the scariest thing about this to me is that these damn things are such a waste of material. Like, sure, the Helpy mask is funny because buff Helpy, but that one was made of all plastic. These are a mixture of both. And I'm sure that other ones are being shown as well, probably ones that make more sense, but they're all creepy. Why would I want to put the face of a character that has a dead child stuffed inside of them on my face? By proxy, that means that I am the dead child who was killed by Afton, who is now suffering for eternity with no damn reason. Also, I've seen a lot of people thinking that Springtrap and Scraptrap are different. I need to clear this up, they're not. Pink guy is purple guy is William Afton, who is Springtrap, who is Scraptrap. Why would Spring and Scraptrap be different? Like, Scraptrap is a scrap of Springtrap. Like, Springtrap didn't die in the fire of Fazbear Fright, and that's why he pops out at the end of what Michael was saying. Not because Michael is Springtrap, but it was Scott showing us that Springtrap is still alive. Also, why would Scraptrap be another person? We've only seen one Springlock Golden Bonnie suit, and it is Springtrap. And he hadn't been destroyed, so he had to be lured to the Pizzeria Simulator to burn with the rest, and he got sent to the depths of hell. Hence why Henry in the proper ending mentions his old friend. Got it? Good. Hopefully the people who think that are actually watching. 'Cause if not, I just explained myself, and you already know, so I'm sorry. And at 2, Mexican Jumbo Animatronic Twisted Golden Freddy 9 Five Nights at Freddy's exclamation mark. The title is long as hell because that is what the actual eBay listing is called, and I'm not changing it. If you hadn't been scared by anything on this list, prepare to change your mind. This action figure is one of the worst things I've ever seen in my entire existence. Golden Nightmare Fredbear, but he removed the top 3/4 of his face like Withered Bonnie. Has growths of some sort of substance all over him, has 3 sets of teeth in his torn stomach, 2 of which are bottom rows, and has a Nightmare Bonnie puppet with its own like separated in the middle second jaw. Sure, you can put its face back, but that doesn't make it any better. And why does it need to be listed as Mexican? Like, what about this makes it required? I see no stereotypes associated with this. Oh, it's just that the seller is based in Mexico. I mean, like, why put that at the beginning of the title though? We can see where it's coming from. Oh geez, Rick. And there's the link to prove it. Mexican Jumbo Animatronic Twisted Golden Freddy 9 FNAF Five Nights at Freddy's. And that has a space and an exclamation mark. Like, why put the space then the exclamation mark? Just move it back one. Like, the item ID for this is shorter. God. Finally, in at number 1, Mexican animatronic twisted spring trap figure 8 FNAF Five Nights at Freddy's lightning bolt, lightning bolt, lightning bolt. Holy ever loving heck. This is one of the most terrifying things I have ever seen curse my eyeballs since I walked in on my aunt Denise and my great aunt Harriet. This is not only horrifying, but inaccurate. While sure the face being shown could be Afton's because we don't know what he looks like aside from a shadow of purple, why is his head Fredbear? Springtrap is a golden springlock Bonnie, so why is the head for the twisted Springtrap Freddy? Sure, the twisted animatronics are twisted, but there's no way even Scott would throw that much of a curveball like this into the game, books, or hell, even FNAF World, and we all know what FNAF World really was. Oh, never mind again. Turns out that I'm just a dingus because I didn't scroll through the pictures, and turns out I'm wrong. It is Bonnie's head. And at 10, Purple Guy at Pride Parade. Purple Guy at Pride Parade is one of the first collections that I saw underneath Daco's Twitter thread for FNAF Dolly images, okay? Now, I'd have made one myself, but nobody follows me on Twitter at Centimeter Monroe if you want to follow me, but that's aside the point, okay? The concept behind this amalgam is seemingly take a pic of a shirtless guy at a pride parade, turn him purple, then add the lowest polygon video game face imaginable, and then make that red, and then add terrifying eyes. That's how I see this one. It's absolutely hilarious, but also terrifying in the best ways for both, okay? It's like Hannah Montana came out here singing Best of Both Worlds, and Afton was just like, hell yeah, party in the USA. But at one point, at the bottom in the center, I think it was, they censor his junk with a pride flag, and I find that absolutely hilarious. I don't think that there was actually junk out in the photo that they were using, but yeah, it's Afton though, so I don't really want to think about it like that, but it's also just a purple human with no face, so honestly, I'm not quite sure anymore. I'm just kind of blocking everything out of brain, okay? This one came from Squishy Draws 29 in response to Daco, and honestly, it's amazing. And at 9, Club Penguin Springtrap. Club Penguin Springtrap by Dr. Despair 2000 is probably something that would have happened if Club Penguin had stuck around for any longer. I'm sure that there would have been an outcry for FNAF to somehow get into Club Penguin if there wasn't any outcry before that, and honestly I think this is one of the funniest ways that they could have done this, okay? A couple of them are great. 1 to 5 in this collection are amazing, and the last 2 are also incredible, which is why I'm putting it on this list, because yes, the concept is weird, but also the majority of these are just horrifying, and this one is somehow fairly well made, which is also weird. Usually these things are just masses of what you put in but also not, okay? So to see them actually work out is pretty damn cool. I wonder how many times it took Dr. Despair to actually make these look good, or if this was just like the first click and then boom, because if so, that's crazy, okay? The blood on the Springtrap suit also is obviously pizza sauce and nothing else, because you know it's Club Penguin and it's a kid's game, but yeah. And at 8, Purple Guy at McDonald's. Now this one is a little tricky because I want to credit the person who made it, but they also have a load of numbers in their name, which, as I see it, is fairly common when people don't want their account to be searched easily. So I'm unsure if this is because it was the next available username, or if like they wanted to keep it on the DL. So please, if this was you, let us know with your username and then we can add you to the description. I don't want to throw your username out there if you don't want it to be out there, and the others do have quite a few likes that you've already seen, so I feel like they're already seen, so you get it. This Purple Guy at McDonald's though is absolutely horrifying. Like if someone decided to make a claymation of Purple Guy going to get a McRib, this is what I feel like it would appear as. This is like the cursed side of YouTube, and if it were a series, it would be up there with Salad Fingers for the creep level. The eyes in the first one is just, it's so perfect that I feel like I might have to use it for the thumbnail or something similar, okay? The bottom middle is just the most cursed purple monster inside of a wrecked mall that I've ever seen, and honestly, I might have nightmares for this specific scenario now, okay? So thanks user, thanks for this horrifying nightmare fuel that I love so much that I can't look away from it. And at 7, Springtrap and Sans kissing. Remember the cringiest FNAF ships lists? Well, here we go again. And due to how the community reacts with these sorts of things, that being very strongly all the time, I'm going to omit this username as well, because I know that there's a lot of fans who are very passionate with what they believe in. At least, we'll go with that definition. And I don't want this person to be attacked online, okay? I'm gonna say what I said last number, so if you want it to be like credited, then let us know. we'll put it in. I'm also gonna say what I said last time I brought up this ship, because honestly, this is worse than almost anything on this list. Why are you shipping Springtrap with Ness? How the ever-loving hell would that even work? I don't know if this is a joke or not. Like, who thought of this? Who made this idea come to life? Sans is like a 2-foot tall skeleton boy, and Springtrap is a dead serial killer who has taken more lives than Sans has lived years. Plus, I get that, like, he's been set on fire multiple times, but Springtrap isn't hot, okay? That's like people who send serial killers proposals in the mail. Like, what? How? Obviously, this is all jokes because they're both fictional characters, but I don't understand. I'm not a shipper, unless it's me and Chica, but that's also jokes. And at 6, Freddy Fazbear Chuck E. Cheese collab. This is just terrifying. I've had my fair share of references between Chuck E. Cheese and Freddy's, okay? I've made lists on how they're similar and how they modded Chucky into FNAF and how we could turn Chucky's into a real FNAF. But to put the concept in the hands of an AI is just criminal, okay? Obviously joking. But what Plushie Guy 10 made in response is extremely cursed, and mostly because the first one looks incredibly close to how I imagine Chucky would look actually in the FNAF universe. I mean, obviously a couple colors are off because he's all one color and he should have a shirt and stuff, but if you did some slight editing, this would be one of the most terrifying collaborations in history. Like, you thought that Chucky advertising their pizza as Pascali's Pizza and Wings was bad? Wait until Chuck E. Cheese kitchens start preparing the food that gets shipped out as Freddy Fazbear's Pizza whenever that gets added to Uber Eats, okay? That's honestly terrifying, but mostly because it's way too damn accurate. Halfway through into number 5, Freddy Fazbear fighting Shrek in Walmart. Don't get me wrong, I would love to see Freddy Fazbear throw it down with Shrek in the middle of Walmart's frozen food section, but Jesus Christ, did this have to be so goddamn cursed? The bottom left definitely looks like Freddy just got thrown up against the shelves, and then one of them, they're just like taking a selfie. That's weird. I feel like this is the story of like Freddy and Shrek meeting and then wanting to take a selfie, but then maybe I'm guessing Shrek goes all Ezra Miller mode and just starts wailing on Freddy for whatever reason. Or maybe Freddy went nuts because, you know, he's possessed, and then Shrek decided to put that stupid robot in his place. Maybe Freddy asked him to do the roar, because it definitely looks like Shrek won, and that's the kind of rage Shrek would need to win that. The story that I'm seeing here is that they met, they took a selfie, Freddy morphed into looking like Shrek for whatever reason, and then, just like Disney when you even mention their songs, Shrek copyright claimed his ass so fast that Freddy died. So, thank you Apple 47 Bad for this beautiful masterpiece and wonderful story. And at 4, Springtrap eating a child. I think I've said before that sometimes I understand William's whole MO, okay? Children can be absolute no filter, no morals, no sense of danger, but yeah, I'm not gonna understand Springtrap cannibalism here, okay? I mean, it kinda fits since some people assume Jeffrey Dahmer was an inspiration for William, Dahmer also being known as the Milwaukee or the Milwaukee Monster, who was an American serial killer who committed the murder and dismemberment of 17 men between 1978 and 1991, and many of his later killings involved and the permanent preservation of body parts, typically all or part of a skeleton. So maybe Dave's Portlol used that idea as inspiration, or maybe this is like a weird kink thing that I don't entirely understand. I'm not the one who usually yucks someone's yum, but I mean like. And while you may not think that Springtrap kinks are a thing, you'd be surprised, okay? There's plenty of Rule 34 art that I have been unwillingly sent on this subject that has scarred me to the very bottom of my void. Getting close to the end in number 3, William Afton kissing Springtrap. This is why? Another name I'm going to cut for fear of accidentally flaming them. This William Afton kissing Springtrap generated image is one of the most confusing things that I think I could ever see. Like, is this thing about like Springtrap not being William, is that the theory that's going on here? Because if so, the only other person associated with that character is Michael, and that's William's son. However, a lot of these are Springtrap on Springtrap action, so hopefully it's not the thought process, but at least the AI knows the proper FNAF lore. Or maybe this is supposed to be, you know, a more positive message. Maybe it's a message about self-love and how we should all love ourselves no matter what other people say about us. And you know what? I agree with that sentiment to an extent. I mean, William certainly doesn't deserve love. I mean, this guy is a serial killer, and who knows what else. And I know a few people who have absolutely done me wrong and still haven't realized it, despite literally everyone else in my life agreeing that what I've been saying is in fact correct. So I don't think that those people deserve to love themselves until they become better people. And William is never going to change, okay? It's been over 50 years in the games, and he's seemingly died or nearly died multiple times with no change of heart. So yeah, no love for him. That's a bad idea. But ultimately, number 2, Freddy Fazbear as a necromorph from Dead Space. Necromorphs are mutated corpses reshaped into horrific new forms by a recombinant extraterrestrial infection derived from the genetic code etched into the skin of the markers. The resulting creatures are extremely aggressive and will attack any uninfected organism on sight. The sole purpose of all necromorphs is to acquire more bodies to convert and spread the infection. They are believed to be some of the heralds of humanity's ascension, but on a more practical level, they're an extremely dangerous result of exposure to the enigmatic devices known as the markers, alright? Imagine all of what I just said if you could manage to understand it because you've played Dead Space, as Freddy Fazbear, and then boom, you have this horrifically beautiful monstrosity from Violet Chan, Maine. This is absolutely terrifying. It's like Freddy mixed with one of the monsters from The Quiet Place. But like, actually, that's a good prompt. Let me write that down. Okay, yep, writing that down. But honestly, I don't think that if this was real in any game that I'd ever be able to sleep again. This is terrifying, this is earth-shattering, this is the purest form of nightmare fuel that I have ever seen. If this was the scariest Dolly FNAF images, it would be number 1, but it's the weirdest. And you know what, I've given them a prompt that, in my eyes, is weirder. So yeah, we're gonna go with that one. And finally, into number 1, Mr. Hippo competing on American Ninja Warrior. Yeah, that's right, okay? The answer to yesterday's FNAF AI image monstrosity guessing game, Mr. Hippo competing on American Ninja Warrior, was such a ridiculously stupid and funny prompt that I had to do it, okay? I've been watching American Ninja Warrior since like the summer of 2013, and honestly, it's been a driving force behind my life ever since. I spent my 18th birthday at a Ninja Warrior gym, I've learned how to do the salmon ladder, and one day, hopefully at some point, I'll compete on it. Maybe as a special guest if I can get popular enough because I'm not American. Or if they make a Canadian Ninja Warrior, which they definitely should, you know, I'm gonna be on that as the Canadian Captain NBC. However, I do have to admit something. The prompt I gave to generate that image was Purple Hippo Robot competing on American Ninja Warrior, because technically when I put Mr. Hippo, it just gave me like a normal hippo, okay? Like Moto from Madagascar 2, and you know, it didn't feel right to me. Purple Hippo competing just gave me purple hippos with no actual background, so I added the robot in there and then suddenly boom, perfect for some reason. This is most definitely cursed, but trust me, the prompt for tomorrow is going to change the way you look at life. Also, go vote on our community post about what you want to see more of in community posts, because I want to be able to interact with people more than just on my social media when I complain about stuff, okay? I don't own the channel. There's only so much I can do. Go vote on that so I know.
Number 10. Lolbit. I think the question becomes, why does Lolbit really exist? I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Lolbit, but they are kind of just a strange twist or variation on Foxy. Lolbit first appeared as an animatronic in Sister Location and is a recolored and female version of Foxy. Foxy with no hook hand and with lipstick. For us to understand why Lolbit was created, we would need to look at a clear and precise timeline to get an idea. Clear and precise timeline. Okay, so without that, we can theorize based on what we know that Lolbit probably came after the original Freddy, as Circus Baby's Pizza World was kind of a rebrand for the franchise, but also maybe was open while it was open. It's confusing. If Lolbit was a part of that crew and not made after Pizza World, just as a part of entertainment and rental, that is of course if Lolbit was made at the same time as all the Circus Baby's animatronics, and not just as a part of entertainment and rental. So, Lolbit was potentially made to be a less scary version of Foxy, no hook hand, no pirate theme, just a cute but still terrifying fox. But really the weirdest thing here is we don't really know if that is true, because we don't really know like 100% confirmed much of anything when it comes to timing or lore in the FNAF franchise. So just why Lolbit? Number 9. Lefty. Lefty is weird because it isn't really an animatronic of its own, but merely a storage device for the puppet. Lefty's name is also a sort of acronym in terms of what they were designed for, so don't be fooled by their rock star appearance. Lefty's name is actually an acronym that goes LEFTE, but of course they are called and often referred to as Lefty instead because they hold their microphone in their left hand, implying that they themselves are a left-handed animatronic. Lefty stands for Lure, Encapsulate, Fuse, Transport, and Extract, revealing the meaning behind the name for this animatronic, and its purpose is actually much more sinister than you'd think just by looking at them. Lefty is also missing their left eye, but otherwise appears to be in pretty great shape, which is also kinda odd. Number 8, Ennard. I mean, just Ennard's existence is kind of weird, isn't it? Ennard is a combination of the main Circus Baby's entertainment and rental animatronics all combined together, but who for some reason like to appear as a horrifying clown. I guess that is the Circus Baby coming out? Is she the one who picked that outfit? I don't know. Add in the fact that eventually Ennard ends up wearing the protagonist as a human skin suit so that it can escape, or even stranger, that it somehow escapes without that suit and yet tracks the protagonist down anyways, who we know as Eggs Benedict, but of course assume is Michael Afton. And yeah, Ennard is a pretty strange animatronic, both when it comes to story and appearance. Number 7, Jack-o'-lantern. Just like Carl, aka Mr. Cupcake, who came before him on part 1 of this list, Jack-o'-lantern is another animatronic pal of Chica's, or more specifically a pal of Jacko-Chica's, the Halloween-themed version of Chica, who herself looks like a horrifying and bright Jack-o'-lantern. Jack-o'-lantern is also believed to appear in the FNAF 3 Halloween update, as the appearance for them is very similar to the lantern that appears on our desk in that update. Jack-o'-lantern replaces Chica's Cupcake for this version of the character and looks identical to your run-of-the-mill Halloween pumpkin Jack-o'-lantern. Nothing too crazy to see here, which strangely makes the companion even weirder, because it just looks so normal. Number 6. Clown Springtrap. The Dark Circus event in Special Delivery brought us all kinds of strange but thematic animatronics. One of those happened to be a reimagining of Springtrap that I never expected to see. Clown Springtrap. This version of Springtrap wasn't clowning around too much though, so don't worry if you thought a jolly clown seemed out of the murderous Springtrap's wheelhouse when it comes to looks. It is called the Dark Circus event after all, and so this version of the animatronic was more of a scary clown. Clown Springtrap wields a terrifying hammer, all the better to smash you with, and is done up in white paint and clown makeup. This clown is not what you think of when you normally think of a fun circus clown. Clown Springtrap also seemed to have a bunch of chipped and jagged teeth. Kinda reminds me of the very disturbing Twisty from American Horror Story. Let's go to the circus, I guess? Number 5, Amalgamation. Talk about weird and twisted versions of the animatronics blended together, a theme that seems to pop up in every corner of the FNAF franchise. For this animatronic, we need to turn to the novel trilogy for FNAF. Not to be confused with the Fazbear Frights books, which are a separate book series and kind of more of an anthology than a connected and continuous narrative like the trilogy is. In the third and final book in that trilogy, we meet that amalgamation, which is helping to keep William Afton alive and is a melted down, welded together mass of all of the original animatronics combined. Freddy, Golden Freddy, Chica, Foxy, and of course, Bonnie. Even more horrifying and bizarre, the amalgamation is not described as being remotely recognizable as these animatronics. Instead, its form appears as a lump of burnt and hot metal with clumps of wires and like metal tubing sticking out, visible here and there. Number 4, Melted Chocolate Bonnie. As though it wasn't odd enough that we got Chocolate Bonnie last year for Easter in Special Delivery, the FNAF AR game, this year we got an even stranger Easter version of everyone's favorite bunny animatronic, Melted Chocolate Bunny. I love this version because to me it implies that real chocolate was used in the creation of the version we saw last year. Either that or Fazbear's thought a melted version would be fun. So fun. I'm not sure which potential explanation I like better here for this gloriously strange and disturbing exclusive holiday animatronic skin. I hope all you Special Delivery fans had fun with this horror show over the Easter holidays. Let me know in the comments if you happen to run into a melted chocolate Bonnie animatronic. Is it weird that I also now want chocolate after talking about this? I know it looks really scary, that animatronic, but I'm just like, I could go for a chocolate bunny or a chocolate bunny. Number 3, paper pals. I mean, yeah, these are just paper plate creatures come to life, I guess. They aren't even really animatronics so much as just sentient paper plate, well, pals. Initially, the paper pals appeared in FNAF World. Each one is thought to represent a main antagonist from FNAF 2. Each one is thought to represent an antagonist from the franchise. There is a paper plate version of Freddy, a paper plate version of Bonnie, and what people believe to be a paper plate version of Balloon Boy, although that one's a little hard to tell, to be honest. And I mean, Balloon Boy is already a weird animatronic on their own because they're not even an animatronic themselves, but more of like a ceramic statue, I think, that comes to life. So yeah, a paper plate version of them that can move around on its own is pretty out there as far as concepts go for animatronics in the FNAF universe. Even though I know that FNAF World, I don't think we actually consider that to be canon, but I just want to talk about some cool paper plates. So please don't blame me. I like the paper pals. They're weird and lovely. They're just so low key. That's what I like. Just a paper plate with some little limbs. Number 2, Music Man. You'd think Music Man wouldn't mind loud sounds. After all, he is a music man who admittedly looks less like a man and more like some creepy humanoid spider combo thing, but who also carries around cymbals. You know what makes a lot of noise? Cymbals. But maybe it's just that only he is allowed to make the noise or music, according to his rules. And he is not a fan of competition when it comes to making noise or making sounds. Either way, in Pizzeria Simulator, Music Man becomes active throughout the night if you make too much noise doing your tasks in the office. So if you want to avoid running into this horrifying weirdo, be sure to keep the noise down. Although, always just a good idea to do that in Pizzeria Simulator, because any noise, you're gonna have some enemies approaching you. Number 1, Fruit Punch Clown. On part 1 of this list, we talked about another vendor bot animatronic available to you in FNAF 6 Pizzeria Simulator. Now it's time to continue on and talk about another strange vendor bot animatronic. Following the theme of how clowns can be weird and creepy, we have Fruit Punch Clown. Fruit Punch Clown is a fruit punch container and dispenser. Not only does this clown look extremely creepy with its over-exaggerated, gleeful expression, but every now and then it also says some pretty creepy stuff too. In his own minigame, the goal is to startle as many children as possible with his fruit punch alarm, which is already pretty strange, but there is also a small chance that after surprising the children, he might utter a sinister phrase. Tell anyone about this, and I'll cut your throat. Oh my. Number 10, Carl. Carl the Cupcake is Chica's own animatronic pal. Carl is of course a cupcake who typically sits on Chica's platter, but also has been known to roam around on his own from time to time. Carl has even gotten his own jump scare animation in a few games. In FNAF 4 and Help Wanted, you'll want to watch out for this crafty cupcake, as those are the games where they can also jump scare you. Carl's official name in the franchise is actually Mr. Cupcake, but the fandom have decided to grant Mr. Cupcake a first name, which is where Carl comes from. Carl Cupcake, Mr. Cupcake. So most of us like to refer to Mr. Cupcake as Carl instead. Number 9, JJ. I mean, I mostly just think JJ is weird because we never really talk about her, and while Balloon Boy, aka BB, is always popping up in conversation and in games, JJ seems to be more sidelined. She is the female counterpart to BB. Initially, she was referred to as Balloon Girl until her name JJ was finally revealed. In FNAF 2, where BB messes with your controls via your lights, JJ entering the office will mess with your door controls more specifically. So both are equally a nuisance to deal with if they manage to sneak in through the vents. JJ also has an identical laugh to BB, which I find pretty creepy, not gonna lie. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you are enjoying this list and you want more FNAF lists, be sure to let us know by giving this video a thumbs up. Number 8, RWQFSFAXC, also referred to as Shadow Bonnie for short. Shadow Bonnie. Shadow Bonnie isn't the kind of animatronic that can jump scare you, but more acts as a mechanic in Ultimate Custom Night. Some say that Shadow Bonnie wants you to say their real name for some kind of insidious purpose, to awake demons maybe. He is the shadow version of Toy Bonnie, who first appeared in FNAF 2 as a hallucination. Not specifically an animatronic, I suppose, but definitely something that seems to have been born of an animatronic in some way. In Ultimate Custom Night, Shadow Bonnie serves as an antagonistic mechanic who brings with him 10 seconds of complete darkness to the office in which you reside, making it impossible for you to see the doors during that time. Number 7. Candy Cadet. Candy Cadet is one of the animatronics who appears in Pizzeria Simulator. This animatronic is a game that can be purchased and placed in your own pizzeria. Candy Cadet gives out candy and also tells stories. All of its stories involve 5 of something, usually being combined together, and all of its stories are also pretty dark and generally end in death. Basically, this is not really the kind of game that you would want to encounter at a kid's pizza party place, which is what makes it so disturbing and strange. Though definitely not too strange for the world of FNAF. In these spooky games, it still manages to fit right in, of course. But in a real world context, I feel like most adults would not want Candy Cadet telling stories and dispensing candy at their kid's pizza party. Number 6. Mini Rena. The Mini Renas are a group of smaller animatronics who usually accompany and assist Ballora, sometimes seemingly working against her as well. They're a mischievous bunch of animatronics who enjoy crawling in and around their victims. Ugh. The strange thing about Mini Renas is not just their disturbing desire to climb inside of other people and animatronics, but also their design. While Ballora appears as a beautiful humanoid-looking ballet dancer, the Mini Renas look like creepy, half-finished marionettes. Every story or game they show up in makes them seem even more terrifying than the last. Number 5. The Curse. The Curse is part of the current event in the Special Delivery AR, the Ancient Equinox event, which began on March 5th, 2021. At least I think it's still going on. Not sure if it is. The Curse is basically Springtrap, but reimagined as an ancient Aztec warrior. Oh, Special Delivery, what weird and magical skins you give us. This is the first animatronic skin from Special Delivery to not have the original name of the animatronic referred to in its title. Instead of being Cursed Springtrap, he is just the Curse. The Curse is dressed up in bejeweled golden armor and a green leaf skirt, and also carries around a cracked shield held by an arm that is made entirely of feathers. I cannot deny, although this one feels kind of like weird to me, I love this design. I think it looks so cool. Strange, but awesome. Number 4. Dee Dee. Dee Dee originally appeared in FNAF World and was one of the first animatronics from that game to show up in the main continuity of FNAF games in Ultimate Custom Night. She resembles Balloon Boy in her appearance and has a sweet and youthful sing-song voice. When you add her to Custom Night, she will summon a random animatronic to join your game at a difficulty somewhere between 1 and 10. Dee Dee has that same deceptively overly cheerful look that some other animatronics have, which is a big part of what makes her so weird and so creepy. People look like too happy, like it's like plastered on. That's creepy to me. I don't like that. Number 3. Heartsick Baby. The hits just keep on coming from Special Delivery AR. Heartsick Baby was made to be a Valentine's Day variant of the animatronic. This skin for Baby, though, is less sweet and romantic, more disturbing and creepy. I'm not sure what would honestly be weirder, a truly adorable Valentine's version of this animatronic, or the creepy one that we got. Both seem pretty weird in my mind, to be honest. Heartsick Baby was given a dark pink, gray, and black color motif as opposed to her usual one, and had hearts added on her kneecaps, chest, and her cheeks. But don't let those hearts fool you. She also appeared as an alternate to Cupid, but slightly tarnished in appearance, and with wings whose feathers even seem frayed or cracked near their tips. She also comes armed with a bow and arrow, and instead of pins, has a couple of arrows sticking out of her shins. So I guess Heartsick Baby doesn't have great aim. All around, this is a pretty disturbing alternate version of Circus Baby. Happy Valentine's, I guess? Heartsick Baby was added as a special animatronic holiday skin on February 4th, 2021. Valentine's Day animatronics. Number 2, Liberty Chica. One of the strangest ones of all when it comes to Special Delivery AR skins, in my opinion, is Liberty Chica. Not only is this strange just to look at, but it's also kind of horrifying. Without the animatronic getting angry or pursuing me, I still find it scary. Just to look at it is really weird and also really disturbing in my personal opinion. Liberty Chica was one of the skins that appeared as part of the July 4th celebration in Special Delivery. This design was evidently based on the U.S. National Monument, the Statue of Liberty, which is located in NYC, and was given to the U.S. actually as a gift from France to celebrate their liberty, freedom, and independence from the British. Fun fact, America initially didn't even want that statue, and then when they did accept it, didn't want to pay to create the base needed for it to rest on. This is a true story. Liberty Chica also comes with their own version of Mr. Cupcake, reskinned as the stoic-looking Torch Cupcake. Number 1, Egg Baby. I mean, I think we all agree that Egg Baby is one of the weirdest animatronics out there, no? Even Scott seems to have acknowledged how weird this creation is, trolling us with its potential appearance in UCN, which of course didn't actually end up happening. Egg Baby is just a strange prop animatronic that you can acquire in Pizzeria Simulator for a whopping $6,000. Why is it so expensive? What does Egg Baby actually do or add to your pizzeria? I think just a whole lot of awesome weirdness personally, which honestly, it having a $6,000 price tag just, I don't know, it just makes it somehow better. It makes it more weird, but also more great that it's so expensive. I need that Egg Baby. I need that Egg Baby in my restaurant.